anxious but brilliant. The sweetest feeling for Rotherham United.
Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello. Welcome back to New York Talk, Golden Night Podcast. We appreciate you being with us tonight as we look back on a South Yorkshire derby defeat against Doncaster Rovers. And we look ahead to going to Bradford on Tuesday. It just gets easier for me. You know, tough game against Donny. We just get easy. We'll go to Valley Parade, just walk over. I'm sure it'll be fine. So yeah, that's tonight's agenda. Thank you for being with us. Mick's back with us. How you doing, Mick?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Thanks to you.
Not after this weekend. Football's ruined my weekend, if I'm honest, but I need to grow up. I know, I'm aware.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Steve's back with us. How are you going, Steve?
I'm all right, sir. We won at cricket today, so
Yeah.
that was another thing that was going badly, and then I turned it off, and suddenly we won. Excellent.
Yes, true. And Andrew's back. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, yeah. Terrible day yesterday. Lost in curling and all, didn't we? So
Yeah,
did.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah. Just a bad day. Just a bad day. Unless you're a Doncaster fan, it was a bad day.
Just talking about cricket there, Steve. Why did you turn it off? As a matter of interest.
Because it's funny, cricket actually gets me more stressed than football. It's weird. And when we finished batting, I thought, oh, God, there was something else on, or I can't remember. My grandson came
Sheffield Derby. Did you watch Sheffield Derby?
Yeah, I watched that.
That cheered me right up.
And then I noticed that England had got them at something like 30 odd for 4 or 5 or something. And I thought, well, I'm not going to turn it on to be a jinx. Because as soon as I turned it on this morning, Banton run himself out. And I just turned it straight off again. So, yeah, that's why. My missus thinks I'm very strange.
It's doing my head in. You know, Nasser Hussain's commentary, I just want to strangle him. It's horrible. There was an LBW show that went to review, and as the ball hit pad, Nasser Hussain's going, yes. He's absolutely on the edge of his seat. He's finding it fantastic that we've got a man out. Honestly, it's shocking. It was so bad that I just
Anyway,
that's moving on from.
If anybody was wondering about how many different topics Mick can complain about, the number it's an infinite number of topics.
We've got curling to talk about, before we talk about football.
That it absolutely killed us.
Yeah.
Relegating starts with getting gone. Sarah Ogden says, evening all. I so wanted Hampshire to succeed, but it's time for a change. I feel the question, but is who? Democrat says, hi lads, a comedy channel in the second game. Chris Page says, worst second half of the season. Paul Terrence, evening all. I'm surprised still here. Sarah's with Seth as well. There's also good evening, Seth, as well. Steve in the comments is with us as well. Miller says, evening, everybody. Looking forward to League Two, but cannot see a way out of this mess. Steve Mixwell says, Nicholas, as is Richard. Baldwin says, time to go. How many the club needs to do the right thing, get rid. Very similar comments from most people. Cheryl still will come on to this in more detail. Cheryl says, can we cancel Cam Dawson's contract and be done with him? Although I think it's inevitable Hammy will go. I'm really sad for him that it hasn't worked out. Paula Rhodes has cracked out the Galaxy mini eggs. How good if he's delusional. Galaxy mini eggs are underrated, I think. Good. Tom Smith says, sat on my on Saturday with 10 minutes to go and just felt sad. The club's in a dire state. For the record, Tony Stewart sacked Evans on Sunday, so not convinced he's going to go today at this time. I'll start with you, Andrew. Sad. Sad's the word I mentioned on the instant reaction. Of course, there's anger mixed in as well, but I'm with Tom. I was just sat there and we did the instant reaction, stood outside the ground. I'm just sad about the situation we're in at the minute. It's just awful.
It is. You get sort of green shoots and you think, like, first half yesterday, they weren't great first half, so you thought green shoots, and then it just became inevitable. It's just inevitable. And then it's almost like he sat there apathetic to it all. Like, there's emotion there, obviously, because you're getting up and you're shouting abuse or you feel sad or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just generally apathy. And then you see, start watching this, listening or watching to this podcast, and you see all these positive things from our history and stuff in our centenary year, and this just feels just miles away from when we've ever been good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does, Stephen. Yeah, you and Mick have also watched more football than me and Andrew, and we've had peaks and troughs, but we are in a time that feels not the lowest of the low. We've had obviously low ebbs in this for other reasons, but it feels a very, very, very low point we're at in it at the minute.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, I'd argue that the second half at Burton on Tuesday was the worst thing I've seen in years. I mean, yeah, I've been going since 1968, and frankly, until recently, and I'll say the last, 15, 16 years, it was more trough than peak. We had the odd spell here and there where we were good and things were great, but the rest of it, usually it was trough. We've been lucky in that it hasn't been very trophy over the last 16, 17 years. So this is a surprise. But what's made this worse, I think, is that it's been so awful for 3 years. And I really, really thought, and I'm very sad that it hasn't happened, that this would be a year that was a little bit better, that would build. We wouldn't necessarily get promoted, but the performances kill me. They really do. I mean, I'm sure they kill everybody else, because it's not good watching Rotherham play football, because, frankly, at times they can't. We do it for 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, but then we just get rocked back onto our heels. I mean, it's like Saturday. We weren't brilliant first half. They were really rubbish. Their manager gave them a kick up the arse in the half-time break and made 3 subs, and all of a sudden it's a different game. So yeah, I'm really sad. I'm quite depressed by it, frankly. I particularly don't want to watch my team at the moment for that reason, because it makes me feel bad.
Yeah, and you're not the only one. Not the only one at all.
Absolutely, I'm sure I'm not.
Yeah, no. Richard's saying he thinks we've gone back 30 years. King Hockey is the hope that kills you. Yeah, good, decent first half. We spoke yesterday, Mick. Again, as it has been a lot this season, back home was very quiet, with occasionally 2 little girls in the back seats asking, "Why do you even watch football if you don't like it this much?" I assume your feeling hasn't changed over the last 24 hours or so.
No, not really. I'm disappointed. Hugely disappointed. I expected better, and what I expected was some indication that mistakes had been learned from, and I took that as a given. I just assumed that would, that would happen, because the management team are young in their careers. They're young in age for a management team, and they purport to be a modern, forward-thinking kind of management team, if you like. But the mistakes are not being addressed. Game after game, they're not being addressed. And what I'm seeing is exactly what I saw last season, and the season before that to a great degree, where we're just doing the same thing and expected a different result. Definition of insanity, in it, and I find it depressing. I do find it depressing, but I'm not sort of ready to open a vein or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
It's just, it is what it is. It's really difficult. I was talking to my wife about this last night. 15, 20 years ago, and I'm sure Steve will sort of agree with this. You came home from a match, you were fed up, you kicked cat, you had your tea and watched telly, and it were all over and done with.
Yeah,
it's now a constant reminder, and we're just as bad as everybody else. We're doing this 2-3 times a week. So it's just a constant reminder of what happens on a Saturday afternoon or a Tuesday night, every day of every week. And I think that plays in a massive part in how we all feel about it, because you can never get away from it. Whereas, you used to be able to. You'd walk home, like I said, pick Greening up at 6 o'clock, throw it in bin at 7 o'clock, and that were it till the following weekend. I think that's why people are so down. Personally, that's my view anyway.
It's also the last 3 years as well. I mean, it's been a while since we've had such a long time of badness in it. We've had reasonable ups and downs, and few comments. I had a Donny fan comment I want to pick up because I thought it was quite good in comparison. It says, "Evening lads, gloating aside, it's a carbon copy of us when we went down from League One for your sake. I think we're better minds around than the likes of Gary." I remember when we played Donny in our promotion season, their relegation season. And he's absolutely right. Us playing yesterday was a carbon copy of what Donny played like when we beat 5-0. Just crap, just bad. And now we're on the other end of it. Let's go through the game, run through the game a little bit, as much as we can, Andrew, before we kind of go to the next stages. It was looking so good. It was looking so good. Duncan Watmore, who was brilliant, actually, one of the few players that I thought was excellent for most of the game, sneaks in there, pounces on a mistake like a player his experience should do and does do, and wins a penalty. Nombe converts it. Happy days. It was a good opening, half an hour really. Yeah,
I think we obviously started well. Watmore was up for it straight away. Obviously won the penalty and we scored from it, and then that seemed to panic Doncaster. I think Donny were panicking a lot there. Seemed to be losing the ball a lot. The guy who gave the penalty away, I think he just kept heading the ball out for a throw-in. There were no composure to him at all. I thought Watmore were running the show. I thought Benson had a really good game getting hold of the ball as well in the middle. Yeah. And I think the game just started changing just before half time, but we had loads of ball but never created a massive amount of chances. Yeah. And then it just started changing ever so slightly. And I think I put it down to the fitness levels of Watmore and Benson. As their fitness dropped, their influence waned, and there was nobody else in that team that could make a difference. And obviously, we're not talking about the second half yet, but obviously that then carried over into the second half.
Yeah, absolutely did. Because they said we never look like scoring. That's the negative side, Steve. But on the flip side, if you keep up that level of performance for 90 minutes and manage to keep off, 70 minutes of a game, you will win it because you'll force more mistakes out of the opposition. That 45-minute was kind of a blueprint. We played like this before in spells this season, quite a few spells, but only in different games. But that's really good, and that if you continue playing that way, we would have gone to win the game. It just wasn't.
I mean, as I've said before, energy is a big thing with our team, and the energy was up in the first half. It did look as though he got them mentally up for it, and I agree with Andrew that the two better players, who we wouldn't have if they weren't injury prone, but they looked excellent first half, and and you're right, Andrew, as they started to tire, their influence became less, and Doncaster were panicking. I mean, that McGrath, their central defender, he didn't know what day it was for quite a lot of the first half. Second half, he was excellent. Yeah. So, he again, a tale of two halves, and I don't understand why it should be like that. I mean, we should be a fit team, but constantly this season, we've had players coming back from injury, so they can't last. Yeah, we're desperate to play them, so they can't last the full pelt. So he has to bring them off 70 minutes, and then that changes everything, if it hadn't already changed. But you're right. If we can maintain a level of energy, and pressing is a big part of our game, is like the first half, and do it for a full game, then we'll not lose as many as we're losing now, and we might win some.
Yeah, absolutely. A few comments on here about the players. Football Man says, the only good thing I said was Duncan Watmore. What one picture, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it was absolutely great. Directing play and everything else alongside it, Mick. Is it? I suppose that's a tale of the team. If we ignore the second half for the time being, that's a sign of where we are. That Donny played like they did, making mistakes left, right, and centre. We still didn't even look like square. I'm not convinced we had a shot in the first half. Sorry. And their defenders were defending like they were defending. I don't want to hark back again constantly, but if this is that team that Paul Warne had, that's another 5-0 in that first half. They would have been dead and buried, and that shows where we are as a football club. We just can't put our foot on the throat of a terrible football team in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times have we said that this season? You know, we go ahead, and instead of putting teams to the sword, we don't. We just don't. I'm going to say we sit back. We don't even sit back. I really don't know what we do. You know, they were there for the taking yesterday, and you're absolutely right. Had that been a Paul Warne side of 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, it would literally have been 3 or 4-0 at half time. It would have absolutely put them to the sword because they were terrified at the back. They couldn't control the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. They didn't want the ball. You know, they were awful. But they turned it around in the second half. All credit to them, you know. Yeah. But we allowed it. We allowed that to happen. And there's no killer instinct there, is there at all? It would appear, which is number one priority for any football team. You know, you're there to win the games, obviously, and we just didn't threaten. We didn't threaten at all.
But we still didn't pass the ball, mate.
No,
we still can't pass the ball.
No,
and yet, you know, so every time we lost it, Doncaster gave it back to us, which was fortunate in the first half. And then in the second half, they didn't give it back to us because they were playing better. We've got to learn to pass the bloody ball to a red shirt.
Yeah.
Pace.
Yeah,
and that's it. It's a fundamental.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely is. Jordan Dom says, evening all, really wanted to work out for Hammy, but unfortunately I haven't seen any evidence of the current situation working through. Hadders says something similar, I really want Hammy to succeed, and we're forever grateful for him in Tonga, sending him a congratulations video on his wedding day. I imagine he's here for another rebuild, but I'm now impatient. There's not much else to talk about from the first half, unless I'm missing something. Watmore could have had another penalty, but I think it'd have been very, very soft.
Well, there was the pull on Williams, which were a blatant penalty as well.
There was, yeah. He didn't really claim for it, though, did he?
No, it was a blatant penalty. You know, I've not watched the game back, but when I got on and spoke to my wife, she said there should have been at least 2 more penalties that were clear penalties. Oh, okay. I think there were a handball shot in second half as well, which I don't know. I can't remember that one. But certainly the pull on McWilliams, absolute nailed on penalty. But you're not going to listen. I'm not blaming that in any way. The referee was absolutely appalling yesterday. Absolutely awful. Nothing to do with the scoreline. I mean, obviously give us 2 more penalties, which he should have done. It might have been, but I'm not blaming our loss on that in any way. So don't clip that out and say that that's what I'm saying. But there were 2 definite penalty claims that he just bottled.
Well, you could tell the weakness of the referee by the way he treated their goalkeeper after he took his gloves off in the first minute of the game to tie his shoulder and everything else. That was weak refereeing. That's a booking there and then. And then that would have set the tone a little bit, and then he lost the game completely. Yeah, he did. Nick says, I thought ref crumbled after giving the penalty, was falling for everything. Yeah, it was absolutely. It was just a bad day. Another bad day for another referee. Then half-time whistle comes, Andrew. We're all positive. We're all happy. It wasn't perfect, but we're kind of thinking, okay, we've played this like a derby. We played like a Rotherham United side does in a derby. And then Grant McCann does what an experienced, proper manager does. He makes changes at half-time to impact it. He took a risk, I suppose, with 3 subs. If that doesn't work, you're kind of screwed. But he took the risk. He made a bold move, and we just couldn't react to his changes. They were the dominant side in the second half completely.
Yeah. So I've got to admit, it was a Donny fan, and we were messaging him throughout the game, and he said, last time we made 3 subs at half-time, we considered another goal within 5 minutes of half-time. And that obviously didn't happen, but it had the required changes. And what you've got there is you've got a manager who can spot that something's going wrong, has made the changes and changed the destiny of the game. While our manager, we'll probably go on to this in a bit more detail in a bit longer, was just stood there looking clueless, occasionally looking to the other clueless people around him. And it just made a massive difference to the game. They started being controlling the ball. They swapped Molyneux over to the left-hand side when he was on the right-hand side in the first half. They got a bit more more time on the ball, but also the big change, we're getting rid of Lee and Sharp and bringing, was it Hanlon? And his physicality, we really struggled against it. Whereas in the first half, Baptiste and Adebayor had no issues whatsoever. So just them small changes made a massive impact into the game. And I'm not saying they battered us in the second half, but they were significantly better than we were in the second half and deserved the 3 points.
Yeah, they did. They did. Well, they did definitely batter us because what, other than the chances which they scored from, which we'll come on to, what else did they do? They didn't really do anything. They had that one disallowed for offside, which I think was close, but I don't know. There was nothing. There was nothing really there, and that feeds into the frustration, doesn't it? So let's dive into that frustration, Steve. Let's get angry. The first goal, I can't remember minutes. I'm sure somebody will tell me minutes, but I was stood up screaming at Joe Rafferty. I was so angry that a player of that experience can do something like that. That was either to let their winger through to make a really, really good opportunity, or it's a red card because he would have caught him waist high. It was such a bad moment for such an experienced player. I can't describe how angry I was at the time at Joe Rafferty. It was just mad for me.
Yeah, I uttered a few swear words. I mean, there was no positive outcome to that challenge, as you say. Yeah. He's either going to get sent off or he's going to do what he did and miss him and, leave him acres of space to run into. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed that Hanlon got there first, but that's always the case with a ball like that. And also, I've had another look at it today from a Cam Dawson point of view, and you think, yeah, maybe, or maybe not. Yeah. But, I mean, Rafferty should know better than to do that. Honestly, I mean, he was interviewed, wasn't he, on the presser on Friday, and you think, well, he's one of the senior guys, but what can he do? He's playing in League One, so he's not a perfect player, and it still made me really cross because at that point, all right, they got more ball, but they didn't look dangerous. But I agree with you, they weren't. Handling was a bit of a handful, as Andrew said, but we weren't conceding. I don't think, did Dawson make a save?
I don't think so. He made one save later on.
Yeah,
2-1, I think.
Probably, but at that point, if we'd have not conceded that goal, the second goal wouldn't have come either. Neither goal should have been a problem because we should have played that out for a 1-0 win, as bad as we were in the second half.
Yeah, I agree. Comment earlier from Nicholas that says, I think Rafferty is trying too hard at the minute, out position, chasing the ball in midfield and trying to slide, starting 20 yards away from the ball. Yeah, and that's half the defence really for Rafferty. He is trying too hard. There's no question about Rafferty not wanting this. That's never going to be in question, I don't think. But again, it's just indefensible from a man of his experience. Steve framed it really well. There was no positive outcome from that challenge. Zero.
I don't know what to say about it, to be honest. It's just had a rush of blood, hasn't he, and gone piling in. And like you say, it's either a red card or he's skipping past him. The only thing that's not going to happen is him winning ball. Yeah. And I don't know. It's so. I think the most disappointing part about yesterday for me is that they scored twice. We gave them both goals. We literally gave them both goals. How many times this season have we said that? Again,
Too many.
So many times that we're gifting teams goals. We just giving them away. We might as well just open up and just let them walk it in because, we'll at least we don't risk getting anybody sent off. I don't understand, and it's basic errors made by experienced players 9 times out of 10. It's not even the younger players usually that are making those mistakes. It's the so-called experienced players. It's so difficult to swallow. It's really, really difficult to take as a supporter. And I know people make mistakes. I fully get that, and I understand that. And I don't particularly want to start calling Rafferty or Dawson out for that matter. I did at the time, but obviously you do. That's what happens at the time. I don't particularly want to call them out or dig them out or anything like that. But for God's sake, how hard can it be just to think about what you're doing? It's the decision making across the board is appalling by players. It doesn't matter whether they're young or old. The decision making seems to be just non-existent. So that was a perfect example of it from Joe Rafferty for that first goal.
Yeah, You know, as soon as he missed the ball, missed tackle, just knew they were going to score. Just knew it. It was just going to happen, and that feeds into that leadership issue, which has been an issue all season, Andrew. And last season as well, to a certain extent. Well, season before that as well, actually. But it feeds into the current leadership issue of Joe Rafi's captain. He's the one leading by example, and if you see your captain go charging out like that, what are you thinking? You know, if you're Adabi Eger, who's playing first 3 or 4 games at club, and you're seeing your captain go storming out like that, what on earth are you thinking? Your head's gone. I would be. I'd be unbelievable.
It lead by example. We haven't had a leader. I like Rafferty. I think he's normally a steady player. He comes across well. He speaks well. I know you guys have had him on here, and I like I like how he talks. But he has got a rick in him. And that's probably why he's playing for Rotherham in 23rd in League One and not nobody better than us. But he's always got a rick in him. And like you say, if the captain, the leader, is doing that, then that just sets an example for the rest of them. And you've got a lot of young lads in there, a lot of young kids that are coming through, loans from Premier League clubs, etc., Championship clubs. And then that's setting an example for them. And we haven't had a leader. I don't mention him again, but we haven't had a leader since Richard Wood. And we've consistently, a good Rotherham side, well, any good side, not even Rotherham, has got a leader, whether it's a good centre back, whether it's a box to box midfielder. You need a leader, and there's just nobody in that. I think Dan Gores is probably closest we've got to it when he's fit, because he's willing to get hold of the ball and push things forward, and he gets stuck in. But he's a kid on loan from Man United. It's just poor. It's poor squad management. Build up a squad. You need to make sure you get the right characters in.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, that goes back to something I like most of the signs we made, but we didn't sign a leader. Tom Holmes was meant to be that guy, and that failed. And January was obviously a lot of youngsters. If that Joe Rafferty got you a little bit angry, Steve, how angry did you get a few minutes later when Cam Dawson seemed to forget that he was allowed to be pressed by Doncaster players, and Luke Molyneux could not believe his luck?
I stood up. I stood up and then sat down again because I couldn't believe what I'd seen. He tried to control the ball with his bollocks, with his Jenny Taylor. I do apologise. And he didn't know that Molyneux was just on his left shoulder.
Yeah.
Next minute, Molyneux's taking the ball off him, and also, is it me or was the ball too far away from Baptiste?
I don't think so.
No.
I thought that.
For him to at least put a slide in.
Yeah.
It nearly finished me off. I mean, after Tuesday, watching that rubbish, and then this, where we just toss away points. I was unhappy.
Yeah, I was the opposite to you. I was just head in hand, sat down, can't believe, watching through your fingers.
You weren't laughing hysterically, were you?
I wasn't laughing hysterically.
I've not quite got to that point yet.
No. It was a horror show, Mick. Literally a horror show. And again, it's an experience. You know, again, not to hark back to previous keepers, because I don't think comparing the past is good, but do you know if Marek Rodak does that, or Victor does that in his first year, or somebody like that, I can get it. They're trying to do something different. They're trying to be positive. Cam Dawson's a 30-year-old bloke with literally hundreds of appearances at a higher level under his belt. He's got no excuse. Absolutely. And it's not only the fact that he didn't know the player, that the player was there. The momentum of the game had shifted massively. You can't take risks. Donny were in the ascendancy. You can't give them an opportunity. Play safe. Get it out of the stadium if you need to. It was silly football, really silly, and really silly.
I mean, to be fair, that ball should have been in Doncaster just about now, having floated it down River Don. You know, I don't understand that. I have no understanding whatsoever. I can close my eyes and picture it in my mind, frame by frame. And I've gone over it and over it, and I have no idea what on earth he's trying to do. None at all. He don't look like he's trying to control it. He don't look like he's trying to beat the man. He don't look like he knows man's there even. He don't look like he's trying to put it out. What are you going to do with it once you're out there? You're a goalkeeper. You're way outside your box. You've got the ball. What are you going to do with it? There's only one thing to do with it under those circumstances, and that's clear. Stand with it. I don't understand, but he's made a mistake and he stuck his hand up to it. He's had the balls to stand up and stick his hand to it. Stick his hand up to it, which doesn't excuse it at all. And it also loses us a point / 3 points. So, I don't know. I don't understand why these things are happening. I genuinely don't.
I mean, we moan quite a lot that he never comes out of his 6-yard box, but if he ever comes out, if that's what he does when he comes out of his 6-yard box, then he can stay in there.
Yeah. Neil Hawksworth says, I blame Rotherham fans for being on his back and destroying his confidence for the mistake. I had a Wednesday fan yesterday asking me what we'd done to him for him to make a mistake like that. He's had
their minds are scrambled. I mean, I think the whole team has got a problem mentally. They're so fragile and they're so lacking in confidence. Mick's right. That should have been in the River Don.
Yeah.
And he thought he had time to take a touch, and I really sincerely don't think he knew Molyneux was there.
Yeah, which is
I
worse.
can't believe
The worst player on the pitch for that to happen.
If he knew Molyneux was there, then I really have to convince myself that he wouldn't have tried a first touch, that he'd just walloped it.
I'd like to think so.
Well, yeah.
Sarah says, after yesterday's match, I would have needed to put a boatload of money in a swear jar. Mark Gamble said the swear jar is his life savings at this point, and Cam Dawson just topped up his pension. Look, he's coming for a lot of stick this season, to be fair. And Cam Dawson, Andrew. It's some of it very unfair. I think for the most part, he's been very unfair. I don't think he's a great keeper. I think he's an all right keeper. But that yesterday is not helping his cause for going forward, because that was the mistake we were all worried he had in him. And he's shown it's in him, unfortunately. And that for the rest of the season, it's going to be pretty unpleasant for him, I think.
But he's done that before, hasn't he? And he's got away with it. You know, like he's come out of his area and he's ballsed it up and he's got away with it. And he's been a scapegoat, and rightly or wrongly, he's been one of the people that's frustrated me the most. Just because what you want from a goalkeeper, we were spoiled, weren't we? We were spoiled with Victor. Probably not world class, but not far off. You know what I mean? Such a good goalkeeper. And we've then got Cam Dawson, so you're always going to compare to previous, but it's just the lack of command of his area. And there were 3 or 4 occasions yesterday where the ball came across and it felt like it was in the sort of line of the 6-yard box, and he stood on his line, and it just. Yeah, he's going to be difficult for him. There's been a couple of occasions where fans have got on his back and he's chirped a bit back, and I guess he's got every right to. He's a human being. You know what? He's got every right to do that. But every time he makes a mistake, every time there's something where he don't come out, and people are going to get on his back. But we can't take him out of the firing line, because Ted Cam is obviously not good enough, because that would have happened before.
Yeah. We're crying out for Dylan Phillips. Is that what it's come to?
I don't think anyone's ever said that in their life.
I think Mark Gamble's thing with Dawson, he comes across as a bit cocky, but doesn't seem to have the ability to back up. I think that maybe plays into it as well.
Very good point.
The game then peters out, Steve. I think possibly the problem with that, to not defend Hampshire, but to kind of explain it, is that he went big early. He went with Duncan Watmore, he went with Josh Benson, who couldn't play 90 minutes. So when the game did turn, as it was probably going to eventually, he couldn't turn it back. He had nothing to turn back. But Bancarry on, who barely had a touch, I don't think. Martha is in America already in his head, I think. He wasn't able to turn the game back in his direction. He had no Duncan Watmore to bring off the bench, or Nombe or whatever to bring off the bench. He wasn't able to do anything tactically either to change the game in our way to get any sort of onslaught.
And I think this has been his problem on and off for quite a long time. As I mentioned earlier, his best players, when they're coming back from injury, or like Watmore, where he hasn't played a game for God knows how long, a year, they can't last 90 minutes. So what do? Do you leave them on the bench for the first half I mean, if you'd have left those two players on the bench yesterday, now how would the first half have panned out? We don't know. But I can imagine it wouldn't have been as good.
Mm-hmm.
But so I kind of agree with the fact that he played them from the start yesterday, because they're very good players. They're not head and shoulders, but they're better players than we've got. They're just not fit enough.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, we miss Dangor, we miss Powell, and Denzel as well. When you think about them three as well, put them back in that side. But then you're right. Come the second half, when they've gassed out and he has to take them off after 70 minutes, then I mean, Biancheri, it was his first professional game, first team game yesterday, and he came on with 20 minutes to go, and of course he's lost because the team ain't functioning. Mm-hmm. And as for Martha, I don't know what's happened to him. Seriously, he was all right when he came on yesterday. I thought he had a couple of good runs, but then he's another one that makes the wrong decision. He runs down blind alleys. But again, he's got so much potential. But I think you're right. His head's not been the same since they qualified for the World Cup. Yeah. So, but you look around the team, there's not much going off when you've taken them two off. You're right. So
no, there's not. It's a thin squad.
I don't think
it's a relatively thin squad.
He didn't have much choice though, because they gassed out. You don't want to leave them on and risk injuring them as well.
No, I agree. Div Fitzgerald says, "Well, we're not going to talk about Martha coming on from McWilliams. Sure, there are two more opposite players in our squad. Can't get his head around." Yeah,
we got a calf injury, hasn't he, McWilliams?
He pulled up. Yeah. Which is, but there's Drew Yearwood, isn't there? It's weird how he brought Martha over Yearwood. Like Yearwood, does it? I don't know why, but anyway. The game peters out, Mick, and this comes the, I suppose, fun part of the show. Next steps. What happens next?
Hang on, there's no excuse for the game petering out. No excuse whatsoever. You know, we can't just gloss over that. We're 2-1 down. We're second bottom in league, and we're playing somebody who's 3 points above us, and we allow the game to peter out. What the hell? How? What? Why? You know, there's no idea. There were no idea at all. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. And the Martha substitution as well. Martha has got an issue. I don't know whether it's confidence, whether it's attitude, whatever it is. Drew Yearwood will come on and he will do you a job, and he will do a similar job to McWilliams, in that he'll rat about and he'll win tackles and he'll have a bit of aggression and a bit of fight. I don't get what the problem is with Drew Yearwood. He doesn't like him, and he's one of the better players that we've got, in my opinion, anyway. It's certainly more effective. It impacts a game far more than Ajani Martha's been doing. I've said this before with Ajani Martha. I think if he plays in a winning team, he'll be spectacular. I don't think he has the mental attitude to play in a team that isn't winning, that isn't doing well. I don't think he's used to it. I don't think he suits him. Whatever it is, but he's not able to do that at the moment. Drew Yearwood is a completely different ball game. You know, he'll roll his sleeves up and he will get stuck in, no matter what the situation. A bit like McWilliams sometimes does. But we've let the game peter out into nothing, and that's
But you get resigned to it, mate. I kind of expect it. I mean, for 3 years, pretty much, I've been, we've gone 1-0 down, might as well just go home.
Yeah.
And that's, you're almost conditioned to it, because we haven't got anybody, and I use the word minerals, they haven't got the minerals to fight back. I mean, when Warney was manager, you know, we used to, if we were still behind with 8 minutes of injury time, the bloody place would be shouting and screaming and would be on front foot all the time. Here would take 3 hours to take a throw in. I agree with you, mate, but I can't afford to get angry at that. Really, I can't, because I'm already angry. I'd have had an explosion yesterday by the time I got to the end of the game.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on. Next steps. From my understanding, and don't shoot the messenger, from my understanding, Matt Hampshire will not be sacked as it stands. Matt Hampshire will be the manager going into Tuesday. That's how things look right now. That might change tomorrow. I'm not trying to say this as definite information and you should take this to the bank and everything else, but the information at the minute is that Hammy is here for now. Whether he knew that on Friday night, whether we lost is another question, but that's where we are, Andrew. That's where the situation is at the moment. What does that tell you about the football club at the minute? If that's true, which let's assume it is, what does that tell you about the football club?
Well, we've just played 2 relegation rivals in space of 4 days, 5 days, and we've got 0 points. It's an absolute dereliction of duty by the board to not make a change. Hampshire is failing. Hampshire is not having a very good time of it at the moment. How a football club can... You don't want to be a sacking club. Rob Staten mentioned it, but he hasn't got the context to where we're sitting there and watching these games. We're there in New York Stadium. We're there at... I forgot what Burton's ground's called now, but we're there at Burton. Pirelli. Yeah. We're the ones sitting there, feet still cold at 4 a.m. in the morning because we're like, do you know what I mean? He is failing, and he's failed this week in the 2 biggest games of this season against 2 of our relegation rivals. It's an absolute dereliction of duty by the board to not make a change. We got rid of Evans quicker. We got rid of Taylor quicker. We got rid of Richardson. We've got rid of people quicker in better positions than this. I'm angry. I know we were talking about apathy earlier, but it's making me angry that we're not making a change. We're just like such a rudderless ship heading towards relegation.
Yeah, we are. Scott Kenseth tells us the club have accepted relegation. Phil's asking if Phil Smith has any influence on Hampshire's position. Don't know is the answer to that one. We just don't know. Can't afford to sack him, says Richard. Sarah thinks same as me that if he was going to go, it would have gone by now. Where do you sit on it, Steve? Because was now 5 points adrift of safety of Saturday results went worse, almost as bad as they could have gone. Next now to 5 points adrift. With a tough run of fixtures coming up. You've got Bradford on Tuesday away tough, Plymouth who found some form, Mansfield who found some the week after. Then I think it's Huddersfield and Bolton the few games after that. We're now into what was a pretty kind run of fixtures into a hell of a run of fixtures. Where are you in terms of Matt Hampshire and the future of the football club as it stands?
Something's got to change. That's my feeling. Coming out of Burton, I thought, right, we've got Doncaster. We've got to do something against Doncaster. And then at the end of the game yesterday, I felt almost relieved because I thought, surely this is going to make something change. And don't get me wrong, I so want Hampshire to work. Everything he put together just looks great on paper, but it hasn't worked. And that we are performing so badly that I did actually expect him to be relieved of his duties last night or today. And as I said to you before, maybe it's been done today and they'll announce it tomorrow. But as you say, you've heard from somewhere else that he'll be there for Tuesday night's game, which I suppose, does it make sense? I don't know. But I don't. We can't carry on like this. But the problem I have with it is, what the hell do we do if we do sack him? Who will come and make this any better? And I know that, Wigan have just changed their manager and so-and-so's changed their manager. I mean, Plymouth have started scoring loads of goals, but they didn't change their manager.
True.
Maybe Tony's trying a different tack and he's not going to sack a manager after less than a year. I honestly don't know. All I know is that I, like probably all Rotherham fans, have had enough of watching what I'm watching. And unfortunately, when you change something, it's generally the manager that goes. I think the players have just done him no favours at all.
Oh no, he's been dealt a terrible hand.
Managers, he's been let down by them players massively. So I don't know. I'll sit on the fence. If he gets sacked, he gets sacked, and we'll move on. If he don't get sacked, then I just hope to God it improves because New York's going to get really bad to be at. And I think people are stopping going. they are stopping going, frankly.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people I've seen on social media today, and I don't blame them because it's less painful.
Just a quick one. I know, Matt, you normally ask the question, so apologies for this. But do you see, Steve, how do you see Hampshire turning it around? I'm not saying you're saying that, but I just don't see anything to indicate he can do anything to turn it around.
It's not what he can do, it's what the players can do. So I think he's cooked.
Yeah,
what he can do is he played a different system yesterday. We need Gore and Powell back and Denzel, but we're not getting them back anytime soon.
No.
So he is absolutely cooked, really. And so if you look at it in the cold light of day, maybe I just want it to succeed so massively that he can turn it around. But I wouldn't put my house on it at all, unfortunately. It's very, very sad, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. He's on a 3-year contract, 2 years left of that 3-year contract, which even at the time felt a strange contract to give a first-time manager. When we give Paul Warne a rolling contract, for how many years did one have a rolling contract for? That was three or so years he had a rolling contract for.
Yeah.
Mick, you've been a bit of a Hampshire apologist throughout this season. When we took the watch off, we're in end of February now. Look, you said on the podcast where you are yesterday on the instant reaction, but I position is still the same, that it should really be time for a change, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want it to change. I don't want it. No, I don't obviously want the situation to change on the pitch. I'm very much in the camp that if you keep sacking managers, you will keep sacking managers. But he's got to learn, and he's not learning, and that's been the issue. I genuinely thought that he would progress and he would learn from his mistakes throughout as the season went on, but he's not. He hasn't. He's not changing a thing, and nothing's changing on the pitch. Nothing's changing in terms of performances and in terms of the results. Do I think it's the right? Obviously, it's the right decision to get rid of him. Obviously, given the situation that we're in, if you only take that into account. But there are other issues as well. The financial issue of getting rid of him, which shouldn't be an issue, but is. Whether you like it or not, it shouldn't be, but it is, and it always will be for a club of our size. So you can't really argue that point. What he's trying to do in terms of the younger players is the plan. The basic plan behind the scenes, if you like, the fundamental plan is absolutely sound, and it's the plan that we've been asking for and screaming for 3 or 4 years minimum. And he's started to put that into practice. Unfortunately, he's not able to turn it into performances on pitch, and I don't really know why. But I don't want him to go. No, I absolutely don't want him to go because I want it to work, but I'm a realist as well, and I understand that the results and the performances are just not up to scratch, and they are not changing. So that's not an answer because listen, if he stays, I'll back him. I'll support him.
We've got to. That's all we've got, isn't it?
100%. If he goes, I will back whoever comes in, with the exception of one person, and I won't back him ever.
I wouldn't do that. Moving on. Matt Mill says, why would he walk? That would have implications for his payoff.
Of course, obviously.
Yeah, that's the difference in football. If this were Ronnie Moore's era and this were going through, managers would resign then. Resigning is not really a thing anymore, is it, in football? But that's what it is. Harry says, I remember a while ago, I said that a manager has to take you on a journey, and Matt Hampshire isn't doing that. No, he absolutely isn't. We're not seeing the plan in terms of on-the-field things. Look, what's the answer, Andrew? Because this cycle we're in, Rob Satan put his thoughts out yesterday, and most of what he said is right, factually correct. It's the factual side of things. You can't argue with it. There's this horrible cycle we're in the football club. Why are the questions not being asked of the higher ups? Well, they are. He is right about that side of things, innit? That the football club's in a mess, and you can't just keep doing this. But at the same time, you've got to make sure it's the right guy, and it doesn't appear to be the right guy.
I've been saying that for a while, and I kind of retweeted your tweet yesterday that you put out. It's something I've been saying is you put trust in the right people, and I just don't think there's. Matt Hamshaw has not shown anything during his tenure to indicate that he's the right person. I was really sad earlier, and I looked at the wins. We've had 8 wins, I think, this season in the league. And I looked at each of the games, and like it feels like the performances where we've been good have been anomalies, and the performances we get yesterday, Cardiff, Burton, they're the norm. So it's like it just feels to me he's not the right person. So in an ideal world, my personal opinion is he needs to be sacked to give us any chance to surviving, and we need to get a firefighter until end of the season. And I'm not saying Warnock, but that type. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that exists. I even went on Transfer Market yesterday and looked at the available managers were, and there were nobody stuck out. So it just feels like what we need to do is we need to get this season done with. Somehow, if we can, stay up, and because I'm sure I ain't going to keep us up, and then get into the summer and create a bloody plan for this football club, because that has not been there. It's like this post-war apocalypse where we've just been sort of getting worse and worse and worse since he left, and nobody's come up with a plan. Phil Smith coming in is great because it feels like that's the start of something, but I just think it doesn't start until Hamshaw goes, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, I do like Hamshaw. I wanted him to succeed. I don't like the way he's come across in some of his interviews, but the guy's under immense pressure, so you're never going to be bringing your true personality out at that point, are you?
No. Just to tick this off, and I agree 1,000,000% with Mike Miller. He says we get rid of that Taylor. Some people are suggesting Matt Taylor's the answer.
What?
Mike Miller sums up really well. We got rid of Taylor as he was a step out of Rotherham's DNA, and now at time we want to see character. We employ Matt Taylor, the idea. I like Matt Taylor as a person, but he has got to take a big chunk of blame for where we are as well because of his dealings when he was manager. We're still paying off John Newell, for example, who has not really done much other than that first 6 months. So let's be careful what you wish for, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I don't know where we go from here, Steve. We had a message from Mark Gambles earlier, which I'm not going to read it all out, but it was really nice and well thought out. That Matt Hamshaw's kind of unlucky in terms of the hand he's been dealt. You know, the finances, the deal, having to deal with players, even from Matt Taylor's era. Never mind the Steve Evans era, and that the blame should be more. Almost all at the higher ups rather than Matt Hamshaw. I think there's certainly some value to that. What do you think?
Well, I kind of agree with you. I mean, it's not just the manager's fault, as I said before. It's the players, and it is actually. And we've got a thin structure, haven't we? We've got Tony, Paul Douglas, Andy Scott. Is it Rob Scott? Or is it Andy Scott? But yeah, I mean, I nearly, but I couldn't be bothered in the end, counted up the wins that Taylor had and that Liam Richardson had and Evans had. And I'm sure Evans' win percentage is probably the higher of all three of them because Taylor didn't really win many games after he came for that first season. We stayed up on the back of Warney getting 13 points in the first 9 games. I mean, we had the odd game where we'd stick 3 or 4 past it. You know, we had West Brom and whoever else, Blackburn, was it, and what have you. But, yeah, this has been coming for 3 years, and I think that, unfortunately, Matt Hamshaw has been at the bottom of the funnel, and everything that's gone into the funnel has now landed on his head. And I do feel desperately sorry for him, but I do agree with Mick as well. I don't think he's helped himself. He's been intransigent. He's just been stubborn. But because he's a Rotherham lad, I so wanted it to happen. Because we had a Rotherham team from 2017 through to when Warney left. It was full of people that were connected with Rotherham United. And, you know, it just hasn't worked. And I'm trying to answer Andrew's question was really difficult because I can't think of what Hamshaw can do differently apart from tweak the formation I don't know what he does behind the scenes. I don't know whether he's a shouter or an arm rounder or whatever he is. But whatever he's doing at the moment, the players are just giving up after a period of time. They're all right when they get on a pitch a lot of the time. Something happens and they all hide away. So God knows, I really don't have any answers to this. And as me and Mick have been watching it a long time, as of you guys, but a lot less. But with social media not existing for the first 30 or 40 years of me supporting them, we never saw the background of this, did we?
No.
Thankfully.
Esther Miller says, in my opinion, overall, the club's performance over the last 10 years can be described as a Mr. Pays twice.
Miser pays twice.
What's a miser?
Somebody was tied.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah, makes more sense to me. Thank you. Relegation to League Two is the logical development of the last year's staying up. He says falls into the side of miracle.
It's the hope that kills.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
all the time.
It is. Look, I'm sure. Let's just play it by that way. I'm sure here on Tuesday. We'll see what happens. We've got Bradford, which is a tough game to come up against. How close are we to must win, Mick? Are we now every game's now a must win because it's 5 points of safety, 15 games left. So enough. There's enough games to stay up. And
there is
to stay up as well.
There is enough games to stay up, but the way we're playing at the moment, it's not going to happen, is it? Because we're just not picking up points. We're not consistently playing. We're just not playing consistently at all for even 10 minutes. I'll give them that 10 minutes here and there. We get 10 minutes, but we don't get a 45 minutes consistently, let alone a 90, which is what we need. And we need 14 or 15, 16, whatever it is, 90-minute performances. He's got his absolute work cut out for him. I tell you what, though. I tell you one thing. If he stays and gets us out of this, that may arguably bodes quite well for future. But he shouldn't have got us in this in the first place.
But it's not going to happen, is it?
No. I don't know. You never say never, do you? You never say never.
No.
We've all followed football long enough, but we've also followed football long enough to know that when you're hoping for a miracle, you're in crap already. You know what I mean? It's 80 minutes, we're 2-0 down, but we could still get 3. It's been done before.
If we get 1, we'll get 2.
You're clutching at straws at that point, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. Paul asked, can we give Manny a mention from Saturday at the Stadium game? Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, actually. That was his best game for us so far.
And his hours.
He's
the next Semi Ajayi. You heard it first here.
Andrew, before we briefly talk about Bradford, it is going to be brief. Are you resigned to League Two at this point? Last 15 games, 5 points. How resigned are you to the fate?
The only way we get out of this is if Sharon's fed up her in and sends him up north. But that's maybe living on sort of past glories. I just can't see, unless we make a change and somebody comes in who's going to make a miraculous difference. I just think the players are mentally weak, mentally and physically. The amount of times they're beaten off the ball. I just don't think we've got a chance unless we make a change, and that change brings in an amazing manager to get us out of this mess. We've got no chance.
Steve, are you in the same boat?
Probably. And never give up.
No.
So I'm always optimistic. 15 games. If we only had 8 games left, I'd say exactly the same. But how we win another game, I don't know. And Andrew's probably right. It might end up needing a change. Equally, you can always get a miracle. We could always go to Bradford and win 2-0. We need to win a game to give. Yeah. I mean, I thought that the X game would have given people confidence. But then what happened after that was Cardiff. They were the wrong team to play straight after that because they were too good. But yeah, I mean, personally, I think we're going to Accrington next season, unfortunately, and it's just a complete mess.
Back where
6 years to the very day. 6 years to the very day we won at Accrington when Ben Wiles scored.
Wiles scored, yeah. And we were all. I was in the car park, and I think Kate Owen had got the music on in the back, and it was "Pump It Up, We're Going Up" of whatever that one that Matic had when we had that video during the pandemic, and he was on his what do you call them? Turntables.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. That was a fantastic end to a game. That's when I used to get excited.
We're on a spiral. We're on a 3-year spiral, and we may not quite have hit the bottom yet, as it seems. So let's look. If you go on Tuesday night, get behind the players, because that's all we've got. That's literally all we've got, is to try and get behind them and try and create something. None of us choose who the manager's going to be. We can't impact that, but you can impact your support on the players. I don't blame anybody for not going at all, because it's. But at the same time, get behind. If you are going, make sure you get behind them. Right, let's do some score predictions. I've been too angry to do any information for the Bradford game, to be honest with you. So you're not getting a ref watch or anything today, because I'm annoyed. But Mick, there is good news from this weekend.
Yeah,
really good news. If you Mick, you predicted 2-1 Donny.
I did.
I
did it on the basis that I'm near bottom and I've got virtually every single one wrong this season. So I was hoping I'd get this one wrong. Clearly not. I'm making a break for it, a late break for it to end the season.
You usually predict a win for Rotherham, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do, and it's worn me down totally. Yeah. I mean, I got half a point on Saturday because I got it 2-0 to them.
Yes, you did.
A few people but did. Today I'm going to go crackers and go 2-0 to us on Bradford.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just I don't care anymore.
What's in that drink you've been drinking, Steve? Look like blackcurrant, but
no, sorry, it's orange squash, man.
Oh, orange. It's me who's on blackcurrant.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Why not?
Look at that, Mick. What do you reckon? Can you go back to back?
I'm going to stick with me Saturdays, because if we go down, at least I'll go up. In league,
true, actually. Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0 Bradford.
Okay. I'm going to go 3-0 Bradford. Andrew?
We're going to go 3-0, but I might go 3-1. We might sneak something off Nombe's ass, like Steve always says.
So I'm the lunatic then now.
Yes. Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
We're going to go through everything in the comments prediction. Make sure you've liked and subscribed if you haven't done so already. We had loads more subscribers over the weekend. Again, I don't know why when we do terribly, you all join in a bit more, but thank you very much. We do appreciate this little community that we've built. We've had some really, really, really lovely messages over the last 24 hours or so, which I've absolutely needed based on some of our content we've had to put out over the last few weeks. So thank you, everybody who sent those messages. It's been very, very well received. Thank you very, very much. I don't know what's happening with the instant reaction on Tuesday yet, because I am going and I don't want to stand around for 20 minutes after the game in Bradford with two little girls who are meant to be at school the next day. So I'm not convinced there'll be an instant reaction on Tuesday. I'll try and get somebody else to do it if we can, who doesn't go.
Well, I can do it from here.
There you go.
Steve's get in with somebody with I don't know, Andy or Mick or whoever wants to do it.
I want to say I would like to go. I work in Bradford, so I'm up in Bradford on Tuesday, but I'd have to drive all the way back home to get my son, and then drive all the way back, and I've got an electric car, so that ain't going to happen. So it'll be sat at home watching it on Sky Sports. But I'm happy to do instant reaction.
Yeah, just drop us a message if you need.
We'll see you go. We've got volunteers. Fantastic. Thank you, boys. We're going to run through everybody's comments, everybody's predictions in the comments, which are all negative as you'd expect. Tom Swift goes 5. Bradford still says user says 2-1 to us.
Thanks for that.
Harry 5-0 says 5-0 got rid of Matt Taylor. 5-0 at Bradford. He thinks to get rid of Matt Hamshaw. Ken Scotty says 4-0 loss. Steve Gwynn says 2-0. 3-1 to the Millers, says Ray Smedley. Paul Chadwick 3-0. IOC 5-0. Bradford kept on fraud out. Richard 4-0. Hall Roads 1-0. Do you all say we're going to lose? I get it. I get it. I'm with you. I'm with you to this time. I'm normally the positive one. Not today, I'm afraid. Anything else, fellas?
Nah.
Thank you all for being with us. As I say, we do very much appreciate all that you've joined in the comments, and some of you are watching it. Don't join the comments. I can see the numbers, the amount of people that are with us. We very, very much appreciate it. Keep the faith. This will not last forever. Eventually, this will turn. Eventually, things will get better, is what I've been telling myself for 3 years now. It will turn. We've all been there. We've all spotted Rotherham United long enough to know that these downsides don't last forever. So stick with it. And if you want to stick with us as well, we appreciate that as well. We'll be back. If there's no instant reaction, which sounds like there probably will be, we'll be back Thursday for the full review of Bradford and look ahead to Plymouth, unless there's an emergency podcast required. That is always a possibility. So keep an eye. If you see a corner flag in the morning, know that we'll be live at 8:00 the same day as well. But yeah, thank you, Mick. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everybody in the comments.
Welcome.
We will see you. Thank you for watching. And as always, up the Millers.
Oh, the Millers.
Comes for more. 2 for Jepson, 2 for Rotherham. Shoots! Ravel. Ambitious, but brilliant! The sweetest feeling for Rotherham United.
Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favor, drop me off in